Okay, in this 30 minutes, we're going to talk about some little aspects related to what I told you before, right? About this. So, about the class 25. Okay, so I would like to give me some ideas related to what kind of activities have you planned or are you considering to implement for the exam? It doesn't matter if it's going to be in English or in French, but talk here in English for me to see which would be the possible ideas that you have. So, one, take into account the topic. Number two, take into account the activity that you're going to perform and the sequence that we already saw there, right? So, who wants to be the first volunteer?
I've been thinking on a question answer activity in
Okay.
which I ask or in which I let the students ask if they have doubts or if I ask them and I'm waiting for an answer. So basically, that kind of activity is one of the important for me, or the brainstorming one, who's
Okay.
focused on their ideas, like give me what do you think about anything. So I ask something to them and then they answer me, and
Mm-hmm.
then we start sharing our ideas about a topic or a lesson or something. Can be.
Okay, sounds good like that. So, what about the sequence? How would you start the activity? How would you continue the activity? How would you end the activity? And what materials are you going to take into account?
I guess that I've been thinking on what on like simple tenses, talking about their common activities, or
Mm-hmm.
we can talk about adjectives. So
Mm-hmm.
I can make them say adjectives randomly, and then we try to construct a sentence with those adjectives. Can be one of the possible ones.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, anybody else? Thank you, Ricardo. Anybody else? Or may I ask for the participants here? Let's say Gina.
Why me, teacher?
Because that's fate. That's destiny. I was thinking about the letter G. So G, Gina.
I don't know. Maybe yeah, maybe brainstorming and and talking about the documents.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe oh, an audio and well we could start such as I don't know.
Okay, think about it. Think about it. That was a nice try. Okay, Leo, give me your ideas. For example, Ricardo was question and answer. Gina is related to brainstorming. What would be yours, Leonardo, and not from the Teenage Ninja Turtles?
Teacher,
Yes.
I was reading, and there is something when it's like a game, and you can associate words with, for example, definitions or meanings.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking, for example, in the topic of passive voice, you
Mm-hmm.
give the sentence in disorder, and the idea is to organize the sentence. But I
Okay.
don't remember the name.
Reorganizer. That is something like organizational here. Ah, no, 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 no. Those are the steps.
What
Those are the
it's
steps.
like.
Control techniques here. Here. Here, for example, organizational. The structure of lesson or activities includes disciplinary
Yes.
action, organization of class furniture and seating, general procedures for class interaction and performance structure. No, no, that's the organizations of the class. here, control, explanation, role play, dialogue, recitation, reading aloud, checking, could be checking, could be question or no. Drilling, that is going to be related to drill, right? So for example, here you have substitution, you have repetition, and you can use, for example, organization words, right? Organizational words. For example, meaningful drilling could be recognition, or it can be related to no, acute information transfer, information exchange, no, wrap up, narration, preparation, nope, role play, games. That could be a game too.
Yes.
Report,
Again.
yeah.
For the next.
Discussion, composition, apropos, no, that's it. Maybe it could be a drill, right? Okay, sounds good. Okay, Sandra, thank you, Leonardo. Sandra, are you there?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, what activity have you thought of implementing?
Maybe I was thinking about the verb to be, but
Mm-hmm.
in French, of course,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe an activity of vocabulary,
Mm-hmm.
like the animals, or I don't know yet.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Okay. Yeah, I have my figures of action right here. Collection, actually. Anyway, okay, sounds good. Okay, Paola Segura. Paola. 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 Sistema, correo de voz. Deje su mensaje después del pitido. Beep. Okay, let's continue. Paola. Juan Carlos, you have access to the microphone? Here. My micro does not work. Okay, so for this good idea to work with brainstorming technique because I could use pedagogical tools like flashcards to associate vocabulary taking into account the topic of course. Okay, very good. Yeah, nice. That's it. Very good. Lena. Lena.
I'm here.
Okay, you're there. Okay. What activity have you chosen?
Uh, well, I was thinking about completing a text
Yes.
with vocabulary about places according to an audio. They
Okay.
have like to catch the word and complete the sentences at the same time.
Okay, remember that it's going to be called integrated integrated skills. Okay, that is going to be just related to integrated skills because you're going to listen and you're going to write, but you have to stipulate that
Right.
inside the procedures. Okay, so
Okay.
nice, like it. Okay, cool.
Thanks.
Viviana Hernandez. Viviana Hernandez, you there?
Yes, teacher. I
Okay.
am thinking about it.
Okay, you're thinking. Okay, nice. Junior, welcome back, Junior. Hi there. Junior, are you talking? Because I'm not listening.
I was about real line game. Yes, I'm talking
Okay, continue.
about real line games. For example, Kahoot could be.
Kahoot. Final T, Kahoot.
Kahoot, yeah.
Very good.
And because with this game, students can challenge to learn and at the same time can play and also learn about the subject, what the teacher is going to teaching to teach.
Okay, very good. Okay, sounds good. Sounds
Teacher,
good. Yeah.
I was thinking about word search. It's like that
Word search, yes.
a
Word search, yes.
vocabulary that made reference to the topic and in order to put the in the word search.
Okay, very good. Okay, nice. You have selected all the ideas that you're going to take into account right here. Okay, so the activities, but remember that you have to specify that step by step. Okay, guys. Talking about the approaches, I'm going to be very fast with this because last class we saw part of this, and well, in this part we see. Come on. Sorry. Okay, very good. So in this part, we're going to see the type of approaches, right? So the type of approaches are going to be related to, number one, direct approach and indirect or guided approaches, okay? So the direct approach is going to be just related to expository methods, and the indirect approach is going to be related to the explanatory methods, okay? So which are going to be the expository methods? So the expository methods are going to be just related to directive, deductive, and demonstrative. And the exploratory, right, are going to be related to inductive, exploratory, once again, reflective, constructivism, problem solving, laboratory, inquiry, and metacognition. I'm going to share this information to via Edmodo for you to have it, okay? Cool. Oops. And here, when to use the expository, when to use the explanatory. So the expository, for example, when you're going to use just a content and they're going to be exposed to that. Factual information like we are doing here. I'm exposing you to the constant information. I know you're tired because this is a lot of theory to be understood, right? And that's it, that I'm giving you that information. But if it is going to be just instructional or it's going to be explanatory, I'm going to you're going to get, or you're going to take into account the experience, your experience, right? You're going to develop or formulate concepts, right? Principles, skills, attitudes, and values. And the information is not available, needs to be discovered yet, right? So, for example, in research, when you're going to find information just because you're implementing some instruments for you to gather data, that is going to be explanatory. But expository is, for example, when you start looking about the theory, right? And you find the theory and you understand the theory, okay? Okay. Actually, it's going to be like that. Well, I'm going to be focused right here on the methods of language teaching because I'm going to do it in 10 minutes. This is what this summary. Okay, so we have grammar, translation approach, direct approach, reading approach, audiolingual method, community language learning, Suggestopedia, the silent way, the total physical response, the natural way, and the communicative language teaching. Let's start with the grammar translation methods. Grammar translation methods, which we just focused on grammar and lexicon. And via grammar and lexicon, students were going to be focused just on translating texts. There were no interaction, and the only source of knowledge was going to be related to the teacher, right? The student had only a passive role, okay? Well, the direct approach was going to be sort of like the counterpart of the grammar translation method. If in the grammar translation method, grammar and lexicon were going to be the most prioritized ideas, the direct approach was going to be even focused just on pronunciation and the way in which the language was going to be implemented in order to provide instructions and to create some dialogues, right? But these dialogues were just created, right? They had to memorize right here a series of exercises, and they were going to what? To interact in somehow in this way, right? And culture was going to be important, a very important text, a very important aspect right here. Okay. The reading approach, well, if the direct approach was going to be related to listening and producing, the reading approach was going to be just reading, learning grammar, learning lexicon, and maybe you were going to supposed to produce the what some extent of order production. The audio-lingual method right here was going to be related to like some adaptations from a direct method, right? If the direct method was related to I'm sorry, I got a lapses. Okay, cool. If the reading, sorry, damn it. If the direct approach was going to be related to like an exposure to the language, right? This was going to be just like a kind of adaptation to that. Here, we were going to have, for example, all sets of what? Of audio input, right? But in this case, we were talking about that the students were going to have to have a very good model in which they were going to create very good habits, right, for them and not to commit errors, right? So right here, students were some like a kind of focused on preventing creating errors. Okay. Okay. Then we have right here the community language learning. So the community language learning was related to some like a counseling techniques, right? In order to deal with anxiety when producing oral production, right? So here, sorry, they were going to be just focused on how can I
The
say this?
peer-to-peer learning.
Very good, yeah, peer-to-peer learning. So this is going to be some like the client and the counselor providing information, and that is going to be just like the what the way in which they were going to have just five stages, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, 5 stages related to number one, some like the total dependence of the client towards the counselor, right? So this was going to be related to a group, and the what the student was going to be provided with a set of elements for he or for her, for him or for her, to provide this information to the group, right? And the second stage was going to be something like the same, but in this case, the counselor was was providing the client more elements to be shared. Now, the number three, it was presumed or was assumed that the client was not that dependent the to the counselor, right? And the number four, now the client is allowed to speak freely, right? So in this case, we're taking into account that the counselor is going to act only if the student had some mistakes about grammar, pronunciation, or I don't know, or something that was going to be kind of hard to be expressed, right? And the number
Teacher, in
five,
this
yes,
teacher, in this case, the client is could be the student.
yes, absolutely. The client is the student.
Okay.
Okay. And the number five, well, if you succeeded on the stage number two, now you would become a kind of counselor for groups in the stages number one, two, and three, right? So meaning that you would be very independent at this stage. Okay. The Suggestopedia. So the Suggestopedia right here is going to be just creating a very good environment well, I'm going to put it in this way. It was related to learning the language at a very psycholinguistic way. So, in which way? So, for example, the more comfortable you feel, the more motivated you feel just because of the environment, the music, um, the vibration, whatever, was going to lead you to a higher process of learning. That was the suggestibility, right? The natural approach, the one that you have been exposed from first semester, sorry. This was going to be just related to the communicational skills, right? So here you were supposed to be learning the language just by exposure, right? But of course, we had to cover some content related to grammar and so on. But mainly, those was going to be just like that, right? Like if you were going to learn by listening, by a constant exposure to listening, right? Like you do in your natural environment. Okay. Then we have the silent way. This is going to be even faster. Silent way is going to be just, for example, students that were going to what? To talk, right? As much as they could, but they were going to be following a series of colors, and these colors they were going to have what a specific sound, and that's it, right? So if they, for example, made a mistake, the teacher was going to be just focused on signaling or pointing out the color for the student um, to correct the sound, right? And that's it. So the teacher was going to be just paying attention if the student made a mistake and the way to correct the student without being intrusive. And that
An
was
example of this could be a debate.
no. The silent way, for
Oh.
example, you're going to use something that is going to be the color chart, right?
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So for example, color, sound, chart, silent way. Haha. This
When
one.
we have to respond.
So for example, you have right here these colors, right? And this is even better. Very good. So for example, for each color, you were going to have a sound, right? So let's say that I'm going to say something like here and pull here. Pull, o, a, o, u. So apple, right? So that was going to be the way in which we're going to yeah, we were going to create the right sound. For example, understanding. So for example, we have n, so n, and there, there. Let's say I'm just inventing, right? 10, 10, and ding, ding, right? So for example, I'm not saying understanding, you know, understanding. So A, it's not understand, right? So that's the way in which this silent way was working. This,
Okay.
got it? And that was all. Then the physical response was related to just conditioning the learning through commands. Example, stand up. So you have to stand up. For example, another command, please talk, right? Answer the question, right? So the students here, they were not allowed, well, they were not forced to speak, but they were allowed to speak only when they felt very comfortable on expressing their ideas, right? So spontaneity right here was going to be rewarded. The communicative language teaching right here is going to be just related to creating and organizing the syllabus, right? So how is that? So for example, that we were going to create a new concept or a global concept on how the language was going to be taught, right? Just related to communicative issues. So as you see right here, there were going to be a negotiation of meaning. So what is that? So for example, if you don't understand the topic, what the concept about, for example, utterances, right? So you were going to give some examples and some definitions in English or in the foreign language for you to teach the right concept or definition and avoiding the translation. Okay. Here, a variety of language skills are involved. Material is presented in the context. It pays attention to registers and styles in terms of situation and participants, meaning the way in which you're going to talk to everybody, right? Depending the context, the situation, the setting, the people, whatever. Fluency and accuracy, right? Then forms and functions, and finally development of autonomous learners. So meaning that you have to learn by your own in order to implement all that you researched inside the learning context. And that's all, right? So cool. Okay, guys, so I'm going to stop the screen right here, and I'm going to stop the recording process.